Have you ever driven past someone on the side of the road and thought, someone else will stop? Or walk past a coworker who was clearly not okay? You told yourself you didn't have time, or it wasn't your business, or probably just wanted to be left alone. Maybe you felt a small pull, a nudge, and then you just kept moving. Most of us don't think of ourselves as people who ignore others in need. But if we're honest, we do it more than we'd like to admit it. Question is why? And more importantly, what does it say about us when we do? Well, Jesus has a lot to say about that. So let's set the scene. A religious lawyer came to Jesus with a question to test him. What must I do to inherit eternal life? Jesus turned it back on him. Love God, love your neighbor. The lawyer agreed, but then he pushed further. He asked, and who is my neighbor? Sounds like a theology question, but it was really a boundary question. He wanted a definition that he could stay inside of. And here's the beautiful thing. Jesus didn't give him a definition. He told him a story. We're going to open our Bibles and we're going to look at Luke chapter 10, starting in verse 30. In reply, Jesus said, a man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he was attacked by robbers. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. Now a priest happened to be going down the side of the road, and when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side. So too a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, as he traveled, came where the man was, and when he saw him, he took pity on him. He went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he put the man on his own donkey, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day he took out 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper. Look after him, he said, and when I return, I will reimburse you for any extra expense you may have. Which of these 3 do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of the robbers? The expert in the law replied, the one who had mercy on him. Jesus told him, go and do likewise. I want to slow down on 2 people that we tend to skip past in a story. It's the priest and the Levite. We read them as villains, but they probably weren't bad men. They were religious men, educated, respected, likely on their way to or from serving in the temple. And here's something important. Under Jewish law, touching a dead body meant you were ceremonially unclean. Couldn't serve, you couldn't worship. So the man on the road looked half dead. Maybe they thought he was gone. But they had reasons, real ones. And that's the uncomfortable part of the story. Because most of us, when we walk past someone in need, we have reasons too. We're busy. We don't want to get involved. We don't know what to say. We figure that someone more qualified will handle it. So we cross to the other side of the road, not out of cruelty, but out of convenience. Now here's where Jesus does something that would have shocked everyone listening. The hero of the story is a Samaritan. Jews and Samaritans, they had centuries of hostility between them. And they didn't talk, they didn't help each other. Now for Jesus to make a Samaritan the good guy in front of a Jewish audience was jarring. It was meant to be. He's making a point that you can't miss. And notice what the Samaritan did. He didn't just toss the man a coin and just feel good about himself. Got his hands dirty, bandaged the wounds, used his own oil and wine, his own supplies, paid for the inn, promised to cover whatever else it cost. It was inconvenient, expensive, and personal. And that was the point. Then Jesus flips the original question. Remember, the lawyer asked, who's my neighbor? Looking for a category that he could limit? Well, Jesus asked back, which one acted like a neighbor? And suddenly the question isn't about definition. It's about deciding to act out of love. Your neighbor isn't a category of person. Your neighbor is whoever is in front of you right now and is a person created in God's image and loved by Him. So here's your challenge this week. Pay attention to who shows up in front of you that you'd normally walk past. The coworker who seems off, the person in your family who keeps saying they're fine, but clearly isn't, the stranger that you notice and then quickly turn away from. You don't have to fix everything. The Samaritan didn't. He just stopped. He saw the person and he responded to what was actually in front of him. Do the inconvenient thing once this week. Not because it's comfortable, it probably won't be, but because that's what it looks like to actually love the people around you. Go and do likewise. I'll see you next week.